Caucasian nation, when y'all unalive one of us, y'all tell us to be quiet, sit still, and let justice run its course. That's what y'all tell us. Y'all told us that with Sonia Bland. Y'all told us that with Michael Brown. Y'all told us that with Sonia Massey. Y'all told us that with Amir Locke. Y'all told us that with Ahmad Arbery. Y'all told us that with Philando Castile. Y'all said, sit still, Negro Nation. Sit still, Africans, and let justice run its course. You want us to feel for your loss, but you didn't feel for us when Trayvon died.
I cannot stop thinking about this Carmelo Anthony Austin Metcalf case. It's really been haunting me. If you haven't heard of this case, I'd be pretty surprised, but I will give you a quick synopsis. This took place at a Texas track meet. There was a rain delay. Carmelo Anthony, the man in the middle, went under a tent to seek shelter from the rain. This tent was allegedly an opposing team's tent. Austin Metcalf, who was on that team, told him to move. A verbal altercation ensued, which then led to Carmelo Anthony saying, touch me and see what happens. At that point, allegedly, Austin Metcalf did get physical with Carmelo Anthony, at which point Carmelo stabbed Austin Metcalf one time in the heart with a knife that he was concealing in his bag. After that single blow to the heart, Carmelo Anthony then ran off. Unfortunately, Austin Metcalf would then succumb to that single injury to the heart and pass away, allegedly in the arms of his twin brother. Carmelo Anthony is not claiming that he didn't do it, but he is claiming self-defense. Both parties have started GoFundMes and such and raised hundreds of thousands of dollars. Obviously, a lot of people are picking sides. There's race at play. There's a lot of things at play that make this a very emotional case, but it's just an incredibly unfortunate tragedy that is so easily avoided. There's so many questions. Why did he have a weapon? Why was it underneath the tent? Why did Austin approach him? Why did he get physical? Why did Carmelo escalate so quickly and aggressively? Where were the coaches or any adult involved? It's just such a tragic story. Obviously, Austin lost his life at such a young age. Carmelo Anthony is fighting charge. The twin brother who had to watch his brother pass away. I think the majority of people that are siding and donating to the Metcalf camp are pretty much like, why would you bring a weapon to a track meet? Obviously, you were up to no good. Obviously, it was premeditated. You were looking for trouble. And the people backing Carmelo Anthony are like, hey, F around and find out. I told you. Touch me and see what happens. And you saw what happened.
White Americans want protection against black people, and that is why they are protesting tomorrow on the 19th of April 2025. They want protection because they feel like they are no longer safe in America. Ladies and gentlemen, it's this one side, it's this one side, it's who said what. I'm going to be doing the videos and bringing you all the tea. How dare a black man be bailed out of jail when he, a white man? Immediately, he should have been guilty without listening to him, whether it was self-defense or not. And black people are saying, well, it happens all the damn time that you guys do things and then you say you did it out of self-defense. Why can't a black man say so?
Breaking news. Carmelo Anthony did not have a knife.
Been talking about he had a knife. You got white boys riding around with guns and y'all crying about a knife. You damn right. If you a black man in America, you better have some kind of on you. We are public enemy number one. He's supposed to have a damn knife.
So apparently Jake Lang hasn't even spoken to anybody from the Metcalf family to see if it was even okay with them or if they approve of their son or loved one's name being used for this Protect White Americans protest happening down in Frisco, Texas. So let's go ahead and take a listen to what his response was when Jason Whitlock asked him, how does the family feel, or if he's spoken to anyone from the family.
Have you asked anyone in the Austin Metcalf family, father, brother, mother, aunt, uncle, cousin, is this what they want? Do they want a protest? Do they think your protest will help them get justice?
So, no, I have not spoken to anybody in Austin Metcalf's family, and there has been a culture of oppression on white people in America to truly speak how they feel and say, we want, I'm sure in the heart of hearts, Austin Metcalf's father, after being kicked out and embarrassed yesterday in front of the world, he was just there to simply, be a part of the grieving process of his son, see what the murder and his family and the PR people, he was embarrassed yesterday. He couldn't even be present at something that has affected his life drastically. He was trespassed and removed by the police yesterday, like trash thrown out on the side of the street. And these are the type of topics that have been the white people in America have been pushed out of being able to feel like they can express themselves. That's why Derek Chauvin is in prison right now, because they were so afraid, the judge, of in sparking even a small little ounce of the Black Lives Matter furor and rage on America. And so the white people have been all this type of submissive and held down. And right now we want to come and speak and feel like we can express ourselves and protest and talk about things that are leaving us in terror. And if Austin Metcalf's family is not spoken out in the exact same way I'm speaking right now, it's not because they don't feel that way. It's because they're afraid of the lashback of the black people in America violently looting and rioting across America. That's the only reason. We feel just as...
Are these White Lives Matter protests actually becoming a thing? Seems kind of weird to me, don't you think? Like, in light of this whole like Frisco football player incident where, black kid, unalived, a white kid. Now all of a sudden there's protests, obviously Republicans, doing a White Lives Matter protest. Now, one thing we do know about protests is peaceful protests actually work. If a whole bunch of people come together and we start chanting White Lives Matter, it actually gets maybe national attention, but it gets a lot of publicity, it gets a lot of attention, and attention is what moves politicians, attention to money. It's what moves politicians to make decisions. But if it's not a peaceful protest, and it's kind of like what Black Lives Matter did in 2020, it kind of backfires. And, fast forward to 2024, that's why Donald Trump became president with a series of other things, So I don't know about White Lives Matter protests. I'm obviously not going to be protesting, but at least Republicans are learning how to protest and voice their opinion, so there's a plus.
So Carmelo Anthony has been released from jail. So now we can look at the stipulations of his bond release. Now, Dallas 4 News was able to capture the moment where Carmelo Anthony was being released from jail. And he's being seen here being accompanied by his attorneys. And for the first part of this video, there's no audio, so I'm just going to explain to you what they're saying. So one of the reporters is asking him, what is your self-defense? Like, what is your self-defense in this entire case? Now, Carmelo Anthony doesn't say anything for obvious reasons. Like, why would I say that out loud? And he just proceeds to walk into his car and heads home to his family. Now, after he had made it home, Minister Dominique Alexander took to social media and he had posted this about Karmelo. He said Karmelo is safe at home, and the moment is a reminder that a community united can never be divided. Amen. He goes on to say that the journey ahead is long, but today we celebrate a victory for justice, for family, and for the power of people coming together to protect our youth. And he absolutely meant it, because Carmelo Anthony had his campaign on GoFundMe mass reported. So they ended up starting a GoFundMe on Give, Send, Go, which helped them raise about $431,000. And a good portion of that money was used to release him from jail. When Carmelo had initially been arrested, he was at $1 million bond. And after Carmelo's attorneys had argued properly, the judge went ahead and released it down to $250,000. But that also came with bond restrictions and stipulations. So it says that the 17-year-old was fitted with an ankle monitor, so he does have to wear an ankle monitor, and he will be on house arrest as he awaits trial. That means he can only leave his house with prior approval from the court, so like dental visits, tutoring, because he's still in high school, remember that, as well as doctor's visits. He must be supervised by his parents or a designated adult at all times, and is required to check in with the judge bailiff every Friday morning. Carmelo also isn't allowed to use social media and cannot contact the family or the alleged victim in any way. And I feel like based off these restrictions, it's better to have your child restricted at home than restricted in a jail with a bunch of real criminals. And if you can contribute to Carmelo's Give, Send, Go, that would be wonderful. But also just sharing his story, sharing the support for the family as well as the attorneys, and making sure you keep this story alive. Because he has a long battle when it comes to this trial, and he's going to need all of the community support.